and welcome to this month's edition of NTV. As always, we're bringing you a selection of movie reviews, life stories and entertainment. And starting this month, we have a new section called Space Time, where I caught up with David Moore from Astronomy Ireland. And in this month's edition, we spoke about the Hubble Space Telescope, which has just enjoyed its 25th anniversary. And we also had a discussion about the search for life in space. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But first up, we're bringing you some highlights from the James Connolly Festival, which was a week-long festival which took place in Dublin city centre.
I got something that you might like to see. I've got John O'Reilly and he's hanging from a tree. Now it's time for you to swing right by his side, for today's the day you're gonna die.
We ran the festival basically. We're fans of James Connolly. James Connolly, of all the 1916 people who were executed, James Connolly is probably the most unusual. First poet Sarah Clancy from Galway, an up-and-coming poet who's doing very well internationally, recognised with loads of awards.
Truth is in the fibres, where our DNA is deciphered, truth is in the learning, more even, the forgetting, truth is true, and there's no true thing that doesn't end, nor even any lie that lasts. Truth is bloated with its own importance, when the truth is, it doesn't matter, because every single thing is true.
We had Evelyn Campbell, she's around a long time, but has re-emerged as the singer for the Right to Water protesters in Dublin, around Ireland. She's appeared on most of the big platforms and is writing songs directly related to that struggle that's going on today. And the other one was Fiach Moriarty, who is an upcoming young lad who has just produced a new album called Revolution, and so we thought it was very apt to include him, and his songs are apt to revolutionary thoughts or thoughts outside of the system that we have today. Stephen Murphy from Leitrim, who is well known from his YouTube poems, which is very unusual nowadays, YouTube poems, one being Dear Enda, which was a massive hit.
Dear Enda, as I write this, there's a scandal going on outside my wall. Some fluorescent jacket vandals are attempting to install a meter set to privatise another state resource, and I know you said to suck it up and let it run its course, but it's hard to just get on with things and pay another levy. With the taxes that you've laden us already weighing heavy on the shoulders of the people you were elected to defend, but neglected at the first sign of your European friends.
It was, of course, all topped off with the lecture given on the Saturday by Sister Teresa Forcadis, the noted, most radical nun in Europe, who gave a smashing talk to an audience which covered many things from the EU to women's rights, homosexual rights, and so on, and proceeded to shock and delight the whole audience that were there.
My capacity for work is inseparable of my dignity, not because people who cannot work don't have dignity, but because your capacity, little or big, or even if you have none, but the one you have, it's bringing that to fulfillment or being able to implement that, this is what is inseparable of your dignity. And if we create and sustain among us a system that makes people commodify this capacity of work, we actually are making a system that commodifies the dignity of people. And this is what we should be, in principle, completely against.
From there, they came and they performed and got standing ovations. The power, the passion, all socially related topics that their poetry consists of, it was unbelievable, and it got great response.
I know we're still fighting, but please don't give up on me. It's
I know sometimes you get crazy, yeah. You feel alone with the thoughts in your head. Don't you know?
Looks like it was a fantastic week. Well, next up we have our community section, and this month the team went along to St Monica's Youth Centre in Edenmore on Dublin's north side and visited with some of the staff and volunteers who have been working with the local youth for over 40 years.
About 69 or so, I was asked to become a member of the Youth Centre Committee, and I said I would. I'd give it a little time. That was about, what, 40 years ago.
I'm involved in St Monica's Youth Centre for the past 41 years. Didn't think when I joined first that I'd be here this long, but I absolutely adore working with children.
A lot of the younger leaders now are taking over, which is what we had always hoped for, you know. So I can come later and later to meetings. And we have what would be considered the mainstream activities. We have snooker tables, pool tables, we have, you know, indoor games. We're very much into indoor football because we have a fine big hall that's suitable for that. But we're also, we also have a very active canoeing section. We're involved with the local schools we do after schools clubs where the children can come to do their homework as well.
Well, after school we get dressed like in our own clothes, and then we come here and then we have like lunch.
My name's Ryan.
Yeah.
And when I like coming here because when I'm done my homework, I can go downstairs to the hall and play football with my friends.
Yeah, I like doing homework here because your friends help you and you have like a chat.
So one of the benefits of a place like this is where the children can come, they can gather in big groups, they can enjoy themselves together. We allow them to let off steam, and a place like this facilitates that. You know.
They're a great bunch. Needless to say, their emotions run high, but that's what we're here for.
We come here when we're bored, like, and so we won't be out on the streets.
We have children from 20, 30 miles outside of this area who come to this club and consider this their club.
They're from Darndale, Kilbarrack, Donaghmede, Airfield, Artane. They could be from anywhere. They could be from Clondalkin and they stay with their grannies at the weekend, and they're members of the youth centre. But once we have room for them, we take them in. We keep telling our leaders now, the younger leaders, that this is what they have to look forward to. People will come to them in 10 years, in 20 years and say, I remember the days I had in the club and what they done, you know, and this is a constant.
There was volunteers here when I was a kid. They gave their time, you know.
The helpers to be so nice to us, and it's like they're giving up their time to come and just like be here and let us get out of the house.
And I find it's good for the kids because they're mixing with other people out of the areas and it keeps them out of trouble after school.
They come up to you sometimes at the end of the night and they say, thank you very much. And that makes it for all the animosity that you get from the others, which is wonderful.
We have the people we have with us because they enjoy it as well as looking at it. It's not a job as such. It couldn't be a job, you know.
Some brilliant stuff there. And remember, if you know of a person, group or organisation in your local community who you'd like to see featured on the show, you just have to get in touch with us at neartv.ie. Well, next it's time for our new section, Space Time, where I caught up with David Moore from Astronomy Ireland. And first up, we talked about the Hubble Space Telescope, which has just recently enjoyed its 25th anniversary. So enjoy.
With our busy lifestyles, we often forget to simply look up and wonder. It's easy to forget that not only do we live in a city and in a country, but on a planet, which is hurtling around a star, our sun, at 67,000 miles per hour. It's easy to forget that our sun is just one of billions in an unimaginably vast universe, which is packed with both the beautiful and the ugly, extremes of good and bad. Our sun, which provides us with life, will one day take it all away. The closest stars are still too far away to reach, and places considered hostile to life are now among the most likely places to find it. With all of these contradictions and more, it's easy to get overwhelmed, to get lost.
But fortunately for us, we have a guide. I'm delighted to be joined in studio by Mr. David Moore of Astronomy Ireland. David, thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me.
Now, David, obviously on the show, we're going to be looking out into deep space, but I want to start with something a little bit closer to home, the Hubble Space Telescope. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was launched 25 years ago, so the technology actually was quite old, but it's been upgraded because it was built to be serviced by the Space Shuttle. The Space Shuttle mission, of course, all finished now, but there were several service missions which upgraded the cameras. So it's like putting a more powerful digital camera into this telescope every time. A phenomenal telescope because it's perched above the Earth's atmosphere. It gets a crystal clear view of the universe, and that's what it was designed to do. The kind of things telescopes on the ground, there are bigger telescopes on the ground, just can't do because they're under the Earth's atmosphere. It makes everything shimmer.
I see, okay. And what exactly was Hubble's main mission when it went up?
Well, it was planned for a long time, from the 70s onwards, and because of one delay after another, eventually got launched in 1990. And the big mission for Hubble was to figure out how old the universe is. Back then, we didn't know if it was 10 or 20 billion years, so a factor of 2, 10 billion years out. And the idea was that by watching exploding stars further and further out in the universe, and also it's a special type of variable star as well, that changes its brightness, and how long it takes to change its brightness tells you how bright it really is. So if it looked very faint, but you knew it was actually very bright, it must be far away.
Okay.
When you put some mathematics onto all that and the measurements that Hubble could do, you could then calculate the distance to galaxies much further than you could see from the ground.
Okay.
And when it did that, they were able to tie down the age of the universe to between 13 and 14 billion years. Okay. So down from 10 to 20, down to 13 to 14. Every month in our magazine we have a column about what the Hubble Space Telescope is doing. It's that important. Okay. No other telescope gets that. The photographs that come back are absolutely stunning, and they're very useful scientifically as well. Yeah. And the fact that one of the things that wasn't really set up to do, but somebody had the idea, was to peer out into an empty piece of space and look as deep into the universe as we could. And because light it moves at a finite speed, on the Earth it's very fast, everything happens instantaneously. Yeah. But out in space it's like having a time machine. Yeah. The galaxies we're seeing the light as it was millions of years ago, and in the case of Hubble, billions of years ago, and they could see stars and galaxies right to the edge of the universe when it was formed. And this Hubble Deep Field, as it was called, was remarkable. We were able to see galaxies just after they'd formed after the Big Bang. And the next space telescope after it, it's going to focus on that area that even Hubble can't see far enough back in time.
One of the biggest questions still facing humanity today is the question of whether or not we are alone in the universe. The answer to that question could have profound implications for us all and our sense of place and importance in the cosmos. So if life is out there, what form will it take? Simple cells frozen on a drifting asteroid, or a fully formed intelligent being landing its spacecraft on Earth for all to see? I asked David how we're searching for life and where we might find it.
The latest craze, since just the last 15, 20 years, has been to find planets around other stars. Right. From the way we think the Earth formed around the Sun, probably all stars should have them, but you couldn't prove that until the techniques were developed that enabled you to watch stars wobbling. A bit like two ice skaters spinning each other around. Okay. A small planet will actually pull its star out of orbit, and we can now measure that slight pull. But to see the planets was very difficult. Hubble's actually been able to do it. It's actually been able to image a few of the planets directly. And one thing it did was watching one of these exoplanets, as we call them, pass in front of its star. The starlight went through that particular planet's atmosphere, and it got the first measurement of what the planet's atmosphere was actually like, and no other telescope could have done that.
It's absolutely fascinating detail, considering just how far away it is.
Unfortunately, it wasn't oxygen or anything kind of things that we breathe. It was a very hot planet, that basically had molten metal in its atmosphere. But the fact that it could do it was very important. And there are future missions planned that will zero in and specialise on that. And Hubble wasn't really designed to do that, but it's a tribute to all the technology that's up there with just the telescope. There's other kinds of instruments attached to it as well, that it could do such amazing work.
So in terms of life in the universe, David, obviously the first one that comes to mind, to many people's minds, is Mars.
Yes, I think most people think Martians and Mars is the place to go. Yeah. And this all comes back from the first telescopes in the 1800s were powerful enough to see the surface of Mars. We saw dark patches that were changed in the seasons. And the most obvious explanation of that was plant life. The plants were growing and dying back as the summers and winters came on Mars. We saw it had an ice cap. The ice cap shrank in the summer and grew in the winter, much the way you expect it happens on the Earth. And H.G. Wells wrote his famous book, The War of the Worlds, in 1898, just really dramatising the theory of the day, which was that some of the scientists thought they could see channels or canals on Mars.
Tantalising signs.
That there was advanced life there, not just plant life. Right. And Mars is a very dry, arid plant. There's no obvious pools of water on the surface with the telescopes of the day, even today. So they would look at the Earth and see all this lovely water and think, well, Mars is dying, the Earth is thriving, let's go to the Earth and kick the Earthlings off.
I see, okay.
Which is a great story. Even Tom Cruise made his biggest grossing ever movie. It was in 2003, The War of the Worlds. From that 1898 book, so this story is just pervaded throughout our culture ever since. But Mars is not the hot topic for life in the solar system anymore. There is water below the surface. If we get it up, melt it all, we'd actually cover the entire planet about 100 feet deep in water. Wow. But we can't do that. But on the second big moon of Jupiter, the last place you would have thought going looking for life, it turns out beneath its frozen crust, there's an ocean that's kilometers deep. Now, it's a smaller body than the Earth or Mars, but because the ocean is so deep, it's reckoned it has twice as much water as the Earth's oceans have today.
Wow. This is Europa, is that right?
This is Europa, the second big moon of Jupiter. You can see it in a small telescope in the evening skies. Jupiter's on view at the moment. Very easy to see, but to actually drill down below that ice and check to see if there even just simple life there will take a long time. It's very far away, very expensive to send a mission out there.
And is there any particularly missions planned? Anyone got any ideas for going there?
Well, it turns out there are 4 big moons, and 2 of the other ones probably have oceans as well. So certainly Jupiter is a hot topic for the planetary scientists who want to send spacecraft there. So they're designing them at the moment, trying to get the funding. The ideal thing to do would be to drill down beneath that ice and sample the water. Right. To see, is there even just advanced chemistry in there? Does something happen that the chemistry stops and life doesn't form, or life did form but it doesn't evolve into intelligent life? No one's really expecting we're going to find intelligent life in the oceans of Europa, dolphin cities and the like. But we can always dream.
Absolutely fascinating stuff there, David. Thank you very, very much for joining us, but unfortunately we've ran out of time.
It's been my pleasure, and thanks very much for having me.
And if you want to find out more, you can catch up with David at astronomy.ie to find the Astronomy Ireland website. And you can catch up with us, of course, on NearTV.ie. I hope you enjoyed the show. Take care. Brilliant stuff there from David, a great speaker on the topic. And don't forget, you can catch part 2 of Spacetime here on NTV next month. And also keep an eye out for Spacetime in its entirety, soon to be up on ntv.ie. Well, finally for this month, we have our movie review section, and in this month's edition, the panel are looking at The Avengers Age of Ultron.
Hello, welcome to our review show. I'm your host, Rose Connolly, and I have my 2 guests here. We're going to review Avengers Age of Ultron and Mad Max. We have our guest Aoife Ahern, actor, and Hannah O'Connell, producer. Aoife, what did you think of Avengers Age of Ultron?
I really enjoyed Avengers Age of Ultron. The whole experience in the cinema and everything is amazing anyway. It's a movie you have to go see in the cinema. Both of the movies today actually are. I thought the special effects were absolutely amazing. The fighting scenes were very, very good as well. Ultron, I will say, I think he could have been more sinister, but I thought he was a very good, challenging villain for the Avengers to avenge.
I thought it was really, really good. Oh, and Scarlett Johansson was actually pregnant while she was filming it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm always picking up after you boys.
Yeah, I do really like the whole fact that they did go into the backstories. Hawkeye's backstory was a little bit too, I'm a family man, and my wife's just completely okay with me like risking my life in the entire, for as my job kind of thing. Ultron was he was way too easy for him to gain control over things.
But just to conclude, is it thumbs up or thumbs down for this movie?
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down from you.
Josh Whedon had to delete his Twitter over death threats.
Okay. What about you, Aoife?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up?
Thumbs up,
Okay.
yeah. Marvel fan. Woo.
There are no strings on me.
Okay, thanks girls for the review of Avengers Age of Ultron. So we've ended on a kind of 50-50 note. Now we're going to review Mad Max. So Hannah, what did you think of the film Mad Max?
Just incredible, honestly. I thought it was amazing. But and it still has one when they're driving, like the really kind of 80s like close-ups, like really extreme kind of close-ups to driving and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was cast amazingly. Nicholas Hoult is so good in it. He slowly sort of becomes like a good guy in the end and that kind of stuff, which I loved. Tom Hardy, great. And Charlize Theron I thought was amazing as well. Yeah. And the whole, even though it's such a male film, it's all sort of set around the whole female sort of breeder sort of thing.
We are not thieves! We are not thieves!
Where is she taking them?
It's definitely something you should see because it's actually quite.
It is quite girl power as well,
but
isn't it?
Like,
completely,
you know, I mean, it's
yeah.
all, it's you know, it's kind of them taking back the whole kind of city sort of in a way.
Yeah. And she saves all of the women and everything like that as well, like, you know.
It's, you know, and I love the fact you don't really know what's going on for pretty much nearly half the movie until until like the supermodels basically in white are like revealed.
Yeah, you would kind of think it's you know, marketed towards the male audience, you know, like that seems to be the target audience, but there is a lot of stuff in there for, you know, girls as well, like even if you're not into the action movie and things like that, because it is like, you know, like she is a hero in it and everything, and like, you know, very strong character and, you know, tough.
Really strong character.
And she only has one arm and everything, and yet she still saves all of the, you know, the wives from your man and everything. You have a bit of girl power, and I think they do a really good job as well of keeping you entertained. Like, you're entertained throughout the whole movie.
Okay, well that's great. So what do you think? Like thumbs up or thumbs down for this movie?
Thumbs up, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. Very entertaining movie. Thumbs up.
And for girls as well.
Yeah, and for girls.
Just really see it.
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Okay, so that's all we have time for, unfortunately, but I'm your host, Rose, and I'd like to say thank you to our two guests, Aoife and Hannah, and we'll see you again next time.
Well, we've just about reached the end of this month's show. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back at the same place and time next month, and until then, you can catch up with us on NearTV.ie. So until next month, from all of the team here, take care.